Good day and welcome to this special edition of Spotlight we're calling GM's Corner, a regular series of short conversations with Lake Monticello's General Manager Steve Hurwitz about what's on his mind, what's on his agenda. Well, Mr. General Manager, post-Thanksgiving, hope you and your family enjoyed a very pleasant Thanksgiving.
We did. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Apparently a lot of the people here at the lake did also, inviting friends and family from afar. Some would say maybe almost too much of a good thing. The people coming in apparently resulted in some lengthy conga lines at both Ashlawn Gate and the Turkey Sag Gate. Is there something that folks can do to make it a little easier on their guests? Because this can get to be a lengthy process.
It was indeed. In fact, we had a report of as much of a 40-minute wait at Turkey Sag by a report from one family. And that's, of course, unfortunate, not a great thing. And there are a number of things that people can do to help. And in particular, if the people are going to phone in their guest list, first of all, that applies to a guest list of 4 or less to phone in. And then it should be 24 hours or more in advance of when their guests are coming. And the reason is, on the busy day, such as Thanksgiving, Christmas, or even July 4th, both people working at the front gate, where they monitor Turkey Sag, the phones are ringing off the hook. And it really gets to be almost too much to where people end up having to hang up and then dial back to get in line. And unfortunately, if you do hang up and then call again, you're at the end of the queue.
Yeah.
So the phones are ringing constantly, and then the staff is taking down names and trying to do admissions and give directions to people at the same time.
Yeah.
So we would ask people, there is a procedure in our members handbook that asks people to, if they're going to send the guest list or submit it by phone, to do it at least 24 hours ahead of time. What's even better than that is to send it by email or fax. Or if they have to, in person on a piece of paper, to hand it in. You know, they can just drive around to the gate and hand it in at the window. That helps. That's all way better than the phone calls.
Yeah, because all those names have to be spelled out.
Have to be spelled out, entered into the computer.
That takes
and it's really quite a process. So we are looking at other things. However, that's really a big factor in it. In addition to the crowds, which we welcome and understand, it's really important to be able to expedite their entry and helping them get where they want to go.
Well, is there any procedural change that we could effect at the gate on the administration side that would?
There is, because even though I'm asking people to maybe think twice about calling in on the day, especially a busy holiday, and do it by other means, there's also things we can do internally, and we're doing that. We're creating a third workstation for the very busy days, and someone will have a computer and be able to assist, so there'll be an extra person to handle the flood of communications that come in and the admissions. We think that'll help a great deal. We're also asking people, and which we've done before, which is for all residents of the lake to please get barcodes. They're very inexpensive, and the barcodes do help admission because you're admitted at any of the 5 gates, and you don't need the help of someone at the main gate. So that's a big thing that people can do. In addition, we're looking forward to these internal improvements, which we put in action on Monday, and it certainly we expect it to be ready for the Christmas period, which will be a repeat of what happened at Thanksgiving.
Oh yes.
And we're looking forward at having much more expedited entry for people's guests.
I was going to ask you, have you had much community reaction, and if so, what kind, to the new policy of requiring people in the gated sections to purchase barcodes?
Well, we have, and as I always say, we're grateful for the input, and I don't mean that tongue-in-cheek. People have been considerate in taking their time and pointing out what they consider to be questions that haven't been answered, or scenarios that might arise that would be complicated and so forth. And what we're asking people to do is go ahead and send in their questions. they can send them to me directly at my email or the executive assistant's, Lauren Marshall's email. And there's a little note in the Lakeviews that's coming out this Thursday that includes this information. We'd like the input so we can take it all, sort and sift it, and answer the questions uniformly, and make sure we've got the policy and procedure quite right, so that the front gate staff can do the excellent job they like to do. So we're asking people to submit their questions. You know, if they send them to us, they will be amalgamated into categories, and we'll be able to give them the best, most uniform answers, and importantly, put those policies into effect. And that'll help if people would do that.
Well, batting this around with our very smart broadcast group just a little bit before, that question came up. Perhaps one of the impediments to people getting barcodes is the fact that many employed cannot get off work during the normal hours where the operations building is open, and wondering if it would be possible for a dedicated Saturday or some evening somewhere along the line where folks in that position could go over and get their barcode.
Well, that's an example of the kind of very good question we may or may not have thought of before. But again, we're grateful for that comment, and that causes me to think that seems very reasonable, especially since we have recently, by a policy change, the board's change in policy concerning barcodes, we're asking people to get barcodes who might not have had them, or to add barcodes to other of their vehicles when they may have had a vehicle or some with barcodes and others without. So that's a very reasonable request, and we'll make that a matter of first concern. And then we'll get the word out to people, because again, we have asked them to do something at a level we haven't asked before. So it's very reasonable to be able to respond to that.
Okay.
And I appreciate that comment.
All right. Well, thank you. Score one for broadcast. You know, as all of us are looking out our windows these days, are reminded of the beautiful ballad of yesteryear. The autumn leaves drift by our windows in rather copious quantity, however, though. They're certainly all over our yards and the streets and in the culverts and the like. How does staff deal with the leaves for which they're responsible?
Well, this is my first fall at the lake, and in case I hadn't realized it before, we have a lot of trees. We have so many trees, it's a big part of the beauty of the lake. And as a community, you'd almost call us Tree City. So we have a lot of trees and a lot of leaves, and they're wonderful in their own right, but they're something that has to be considered. There's a couple of features about leaves. One is people should know that when they rake them up and bag them, that county waste will take 5 bags away at a time. They may pull more if they want to, but they're not obligated to do more than 5. So it'd be helpful for people to only put 5 out at a time, and it's more likely county waste will take them all rather than pick out of a bigger pile. So it makes it hard for county waste to do a good job, and then the bags just sit there, sometimes split open. More importantly, the bags are often in the drainage ditches and block them.
Yeah.
And you never know about what kind of precipitation we will or won't have, snow or rain, but we have had recent experience with heavy rains. And so the leaves are a factor in another way. When they merely accumulate in the ditches, they then get washed up often against the intake of a culvert or the exit route from a culvert, and they block the flow. And the water backs up. In some cases, then it washes up onto a road, down into adjoining property where it's a nuisance for a neighbor who didn't expect water to come from that source. So what I'd ask people to do concerning leaves, in addition to the bagging protocol, is to take a look at the ditches in front of their property where they have them. Not every lot has ditches.
Right.
And to make sure they're clear of all impediments to the flow, including the inlet and the outlet. Just the other day, I dug out some rocks that were partially blocking an inlet to the culvert under the driveway where I'm living. But then again, to not let the leaves accumulate, because the leaves can wash up against the mouth of the culvert and compact and become quite an impermeable barrier and then block the flow. And so the ditches are very important parts of our stormwater management. So If people would do that, it'd be a big help.
We are basically responsible for so doing, I guess, really.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, so there is that to it. So, yeah, so I mean, otherwise, there's obviously for folks various commercial services, and they grind and they mulch and they suck up and all those other things, and it's still quite a chore. But at any rate, as you say, it's part of the beauty of the lake.
It is a big chore, and so many people do an excellent job, and we're just asking everybody to take a look and make sure their ditches are working.
Yeah, yeah, or plant pine trees rather than coniferous, I guess.
Yes, indeed.
Last time we visited, we were talking about food and beverage manager Andrew Kerper kind of rebooting both the pub and the Lakeview Room over at Ash Lawn. How are things going?
They're going really great. We're starting up, there's no doubt. Andrew is new, recently arrived. We did take 3 days off for this reboot. So it's almost like starting all over again with a certain amount of experience already under our belt. But given that, the pub is really taking off. The menu appears to be attractive to many people. It's been redecorated. There's a dartboard just around, right next to, near the bar. People seem to be enjoying that. There's a popcorn machine. There's interesting items up on the wall. Mm-hmm. And the menu is very interesting. And the business has really picked up. 6 days of the week. Monday's a kind of slow day. And Andrew's looking at that. You know, how can we get people to come out on Mondays? But the business has really picked up here at the pub. It's very gratifying because it has been a bit of a haul. Mm-hmm. The staff is doing a great job and continuing to learn and get better. So that's all good. New chefs, new people in the kitchen, and they're doing a great job. Over at Lakeside, the menu is definitely upscale. It's a change from what we were doing there before. Very interesting menu, very attractive. I ate there just last weekend, and it was a fabulous meal. Very interesting food, fun to eat and delicious and so forth. Oh, great. And then, you know, this time of the year, pre-holidays, tends to be a period when people tend not to go out. So the business has been a little slower over there, but we look forward to for that to pick up. As well as we're very interested in continuing to have special events for people, for their family events, and for even for catering. Oh, yeah. We're very well set up to do catering, particularly over at Lakeside. So we know that business and activity is going to pick up, and they're prepared to handle that too. So everything's pointing in the green direction in food and beverage. Every once in a while, someone has a comment, and we're very interested in that too. What I would ask people to do is also send it to me at my email address or Lauren's. Again, it's going to be in the paper coming out this Thursday. And the reason is Andrew's very busy, and he can't necessarily entertain 100 ideas that might come in a given day, right, even though people are very kind in putting them together. Mm-hmm. So we just ask that they maybe send them to me and to Lauren, and we'll go through them and then work with Andrew in doing that. In fact, we've got a group that does a monthly review of F&B that we've just started. It consists of our business manager, Chuck Wimberly, and Andrew, and me, and we go over the finances and all the customer comment sheets. Okay. And that will be an opportunity in a systematic way to review the suggestions, many of which are very similar, but they're also very important, and we don't want to give them short shrift. So I would very much appreciate people sending them in to me. We've got time to take a look at it, meet with Andrew, and I think that's the best shot at giving those suggestions the full consideration they deserve, because people have taken their time to think about it and communicate it, which we very much appreciate.
All right. Well, that's great. It's a good note to wrap it up on for this time. Thank you very much for your time, and we look forward to doing it again.
My pleasure. Glad to be here.
All right. You've been watching this special edition of Spotlight called GM's Corner, a conversation with Lake Monticello's General Manager, Steve Hurwitz. We hope you'll think of us and look forward to future gripping episodes of this program, as well as the full range of programming brought to you by the Lake Monticello Broadcast Group. So, till we see you again, thanks very much for watching. I'm Ron Krause. Good day.